that we keep running around in circles. Now, the truth is this. One of the effects of the devil's arithmetic is that when it comes to education, the products of the devil's arithmetic never read. They don't believe in reading. They can't task their brains, apart from maybe the gutter press and, silly things. So the best way that I felt, because this is primarily for leaders, it's primarily for people who have a big vision, it's primarily for people who will liberate many others, for them to get an understanding of this. And since most people will never read, an audiobook is just the format that we believe will help the African. I've had some people review this, Professor Anibogu, listen to this. I've had a couple of people listen to it, and they come back, you can see the shock on their faces because of the facts, figures, the truth that we expose.
I was going to ask you, you said you've done 10, 15 years of research on this.
Yes.
What has been the basis of your research? I'm sure somebody will be curious to ask you what's the basis of some of the things you've said in this audiobook.
Oh, absolutely. There's a cause and effect. You see, in life, we're not, we don't just happen to be products of chance. We know, for instance, that the Western world tries to pass off some unpassable things as truth. But when you study the cause-effect thing, you're going to discover that when we find out the root, we go back to the root, we look into yesterday, we can have a glimpse from yesterday of why today is the way it is. And if we learn our lessons, we can now make plans for a better tomorrow. Or else, you'll find out that what we saw from research is true. Nations can go around in circles, as families can go around in circles, as individuals can go around in circles. And even when they get an idea of what is wrong with them, because they're not thorough enough, they end up messing up their lives more. I'll give you a good example of one of the things you're going to find in this audiobook. CNN ran a program, I think 2008, on Black in America. Now, while they were running that program, Black in America, any true researcher, any true leader, any true person who has researched American history properly would know that somebody behind the screen was laughing at everybody else. Now, let me tell you what we call the devil's arithmetic. The devil's arithmetic is a process that there are only about 2 documents in the world. People who broke the rule and wrote it down. In the ancient Roman Empire, they never wrote it down. You are not meant to write down the details. But some British people wrote down the instructions of how to reduce an African from a human being into a slave. There are specific engineering. Now, when America began to...
And that document exists.
Oh, they exist. Now, the second one, 1712, on the bank of the James River in the colony of Virginia in America. The Virginians wanted to be rich. They needed money. Everybody else was trading in slaves. But they tried slavery, and slavery was not productive because the people kept insisting from Africa that we too are people like you. We have families. I come from a royal family and things like that. So they imported from the West Indies a slaver who was very successful to teach them the secrets of how to break a human being from the state of a human into an economic unit, a slave, on an industrial scale. Now, if you look at the instructions, it's pure engineering. It may be wicked, you must use terror. You must do something, first of all, is that you must use an act of extreme cruelty. You look for the man who is the ringleader among the slaves, and when you get him to come forward, you tar his body, put feathers all over, all the slaves will be laughing. You tie his right leg to a horse, tie the other leg to another horse, then set his body on fire. And when you set his body on fire and he's agonizing in pain, he's crying, you slap the horses for the horses to tear his body into 2. Now, because the women are watching, the children are watching, other men are watching, what you do with that single act of violence is that you imprint it in the memory of those who are watching. Nobody wants to die like that. So the fear of death, the survival instinct, kicks in. So what have you just done? The women can no longer depend on the men. So you break a natural cycle in nature and you replace it with an artificial one. Immediately you do that, you ask people to go in and beat the blacks, the African slaves. You beat them for no reason until they are afraid of you to the point of no return. Now, what are you really doing? You are crushing their spirits, the human spirit that will try to insist I'm human. You are crushing it. Now, after you finish crushing that, you now isolate them, remove the men from the women. You destroy every notion of family. Never make them believe that they are one family, that they can marry one on one. Like animals, you mate them 2 on 3, 4 on 5. So that when a woman becomes pregnant, she cannot say this is the father or that's the father. You are breeding them the way you breed animals. You've separated them, and you find out that finally when the woman is pregnant and she's going to bring up a child, she's going to bring up that child in a way to escape that destiny. She will bring up the child literally an idiot, with a limitation. Anyway, there are about 7 engineering steps like that.
Pastor Thompson, I'm already looking forward to finishing this. I only listened to the intro part of it.
Yes.
But like I said, we'll be back to discuss this.
My pleasure will be mine.
Thank you for joining us on the channel.
Thank you very, very, very much.
Our first book of the week for this year is a book that made our top 13 books of 2014 list. It's titled How to Read More by Martin Udogi. This book will help you appreciate the tremendous value of reading. It is based on Martin Udogi's personal journey into reading, from never picking up a book 10 years after graduating from the university to now reading 3 to 4 books a month. It is also validated by the experiences of prominent individuals and achievers such as Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore, Barack Obama, Bill Gates, Dr. Ben Carson, and so many more famous personalities cited in the book. Perhaps the most controversial book of 2014 is former President Olusegun Obasanjo's most recent autobiography titled My Watch. Prior to the launching of this autobiography, Prince Buruji Kashamu, the chairman of the People's Democratic Party's Organization and Mobilization Committee in Nigeria's Southwest, had gone to court to file a suit against the former president for what he considered to be damaging statements he made in his book. Ruling in his favor, a judge of an Abuja High Court placed a restraining order on Obasanjo, stopping him from proceeding with plans to publish the controversial autobiography. General Obasanjo went on with the launch, nevertheless, but not without what he considered to be legal justifications. After the book's launch, the former president was slammed with contempt of court. He has since appealed that judgment. Following all those events, a book titled No Enemies to Fight, Goodluck Jonathan on Marble, which reveals the workings of the mind of Nigeria's president, Goodluck Jonathan, has been presented to the general public in Ijebu-Igbo area of Ogun State, southwest Nigeria. The public presentation of the book, held at the Goodluck Jonathan Political Center in Ijebu-Igbo in Ogun State, brought together members of the Omo Ilu Foundation from the southwest states of Ogun, Oyo, Ondo, Ekiti, Osun, and Lagos. Now, the brain behind the public presentation of this book is Prince Buruji Kashamu. Prince Kashamu said the book is to correct some of the impressions detractors of President Jonathan have about him. Very interesting turn of events, isn't it?
When I discovered this book, it was the day I went for convention in Abuja. I found the book in my bag. I was surprised after I read some pages of this book. I asked myself, how can somebody who don't know that this president is humble, this president is good, this president is calm, with all this propaganda that people will be criticism, that people will be criticizing, how can this man be so good? He has been saying all these kind of things in this book, and nobody will cover this book or bring this book out. This book makes me to discover the man more and more, and to know the kind of president we are having, which a lot of people does not even know the value. If this man can have this kind of book without launching it in a way that many Nigerians will know, if this man can have this book, that anytime people visit there, they can just take one book and give to one person, then that man, this man is not a kind of man that like to show off every day.
I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget you can always join us on any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.